everyone, and welcome to In the Newsroom, where we bring you the behind-the-scenes look on how we deliver the news to you. It was a hectic week here in the newsroom with our reporters out in the field covering stories that's been happening here in Korea as well as other places around the world, ranging from the North Korean rocket launch, an ongoing presidential race here in South Korea, and an exclusive one-on-one with the Honduran president. Now, earlier in the day, I had a chance to talk to our reporters, and here's what they have to say. In the Newsroom begins now. Right, what a way to start a day, defying the international calls to cancel the provocative mission. North Korea goes ahead with its rocket launch. It's their second attempt this year alone. Did it come as a surprise?
So unexpected, given that we gave news yesterday about how North Korea has actually had some problems with its launch.
And dismantled the three-stage rocket, but didn't really seem to bother them at all.
I know, and our intelligence service might have some problems.
Yeah, they completely fooled us all, like the international community, and the bigger problem, they have succeeded.
Right, and the world leaders were quick to respond to that, and there were condemnation, obviously. But now let's talk about the atmosphere that was in the newsroom. What was it like in the morning?
It was quite peaceful until the news broke, and our morning anchor Taeun was ready to go on air. She was getting ready. And then Hyunbin was, he just casually said, "Oh, North Korea just fired a rocket." Yeah, he couldn't believe, that was actually true. And we were like in disbelief as well. Are you sure that's what's happening? Because we were so sure that they just wouldn't do it. I mean, why would they do it now, today, surprising everyone? So it was crazy. Like, Taeun wanted like a quick note of what's really happened, what's been said, has it been confirmed by the defense ministry, like what are they saying now? And so we just jotted down what Hanul got from the defense ministry, and I just delivered it to her while she was on air. It was crazy.
I know, it was right before the 10 o'clock news, and Taeun was so hectic, and also every other correspondent at the Ministry of Defense, especially in Jinju Sonbae at the president's office, they had to connect live for 12 o'clock news, and everyone else was watching news, and we were also watching CNN and our CCTV, some other news, and we were all shocked.
Right. The launch has been previously announced by North Korea, but I guess it was the timing of it all. Since they announced that they are going through some technical glitch and that it could be delayed to whenever. Some experts said it could be well over next year, but December 12th, it did happen. And it comes in a very timely manner in a sense that South Korea, just a week to go until the big presidential race. Right.
Yeah, actually, I'm worried that, just 2 days before South Koreans go to the polls, it's the 1-year anniversary of Kim Jong-il's death. And remember last year how hectic it was because of the news? So they launched the rocket to celebrate this memorial event, for them. And so that's too close to the day that we all go to the polls, and I don't know what kind of implications this might have.
And it's already a neck and neck race, and I'm wondering what could this, affect our
it could be a variable to the not only the outcome of the voter, but voter turnout as well, I think. But certainly, it's right around the corner, and we're feeling the mix of excitement and high nerves in the air. And continuing from last week, we've done a in-depth coverage on the campaign pledges being trumpeted out by the two main presidential candidates. And what was your story on?
I focused on prosecution reform. As you all know, prosecution reform has been a hot potato in this year's election, especially, about the recent scandals involving prosecutors, bribery and sex scandals.
The reputation has gone downhill.
Yes, people's trust in the prosecution has turned very low. And then not only that, in Korea, they're having repeated calls for reform. I didn't know this, but they also say Korea, there are two kinds of groups that you should be really afraid of. One, chaebals, the conglomerates, and then two, the prosecutors.
Both ruling party contender Park Geun-hye and opposition candidate Moon Jae-in have promised to overhaul the prosecution. So DUP's Moon has proposed disbanding the all-powerful Central Investigation Unit of the Supreme Prosecutor's Office. Park initially opposed abolishing the elite CIU, but changed her mind after the recent series of scandals. The two candidates now agree that other investigative teams in local districts should take over at least some of the CIU's duties. If the two presidential candidates propose disbanding the CIU, then how do they plan to root out corruption among senior officials? Well, Park envisions a system of a special prosecutor who will be named when a case surfaces and who will have the authority to investigate and indict. But Moon doesn't think these two systems will be effective. He says he will create a completely separate independent investigation unit to probe and indict cases involving ministers, vice ministers, judges, prosecutors, lawmakers, senior presidential officials, and a president's relatives. This is a big area of dispute between Park and Moon.
How is the prosecution reacting to it, especially those in CIU? I don't think they'll be very happy to hear about these pledges.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a strong opposition, like we all know for sure. But because of these scandals, recent scandals involving prosecutors, I think they kind of don't have much ground to oppose it completely. So,
and also recently, the prosecutor general and the head of the Central Investigation Unit both stepped down. So they have really no say.
One of the other ideas that both candidates have is to cut the number of vice minister level prosecutors. You know, this is really crazy. So the police, who also has a right to investigate cases, they only have one vice minister level position. But the prosecution, police? Yes, the prosecution, 55 vice minister deputy level officials. So the two candidates are saying, okay, we are going to cut that number and readjust their positions downward.
How are the general public reacting to the pledges of the Park and Moon's policies and plans?
Well, I talked to one lawyer, and according to him, because Moon comes from the legal background, he was a human rights lawyer, before entering politics, and he's kind of seen how President Roh Moo-hyun and the prosecution kind of clashed when he served as his chief of staff. So his pledges seem to be more detailed than Park Geun-hye's. But we all know what's more important is whether the two candidates really have the will to carry them out, because we all know it's going to be a tough battle.
Sure. Right. I mean, if I remember correctly, your piece was about 6 minutes coverage, a very in-depth coverage on the very intricate prosecution system, and of course the comparison of the two sides, and using a very high-tech gadget.
Yeah, it is a high-tech gadget. Yes, our Arirang's flagship program, Korea Today, uses that touchscreen every morning to go over what the nation's dailies have as their headlines. And so I wanted to use it for our news coverage. So I asked about how to use the system and what I need to plan beforehand. And then, it was a first trial. I was the first one to go from our news team. So, as we know, when we try new things, it kind of creates some unforeseen problems. So yeah, I had that, but I was able to bring a new look.
And many broadcasters actually, going about using their virtual studio as well as the touch screen. And so with the election season coming up, I guess it would be nice if we, get a chance to.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Since we are welcoming. It's been ages since we had you on the show. Yeah,
2 weeks to full weeks.
Wow. We've been following up on your story and yourself through the stories you've been following to us. But how was the trip? We've been dying to ask you.
It was amazing. The whole trip was very fully scheduled with each cities, and we had like 10 flight tickets. We went to 3 countries and 5 cities, and it was full of traveling, a lot of airports and hotels, and a lot of drama. Our luggage got lost, and we had to land in a different airport because the climate was unfavorable for to land. So there was a lot of troubles too, but it was amazing. I had a lot of fun.
I think one of the highlights is, of course, your one-on-one, I think I should say exclusive interview with Honduran president. How did that come about?
Well, that included a lot of steps and like hierarchy, authorities, because we first contacted the ambassador of Honduras in Seoul, and then he contacted the presidential office. But turns out the presidential office say that they never got the announcement or notice. So we try to reschedule and rearrange it. So the president actually spared like 15 minutes before his working hours, at before 8 a.m. before his ministerial meeting. So we got a lot of footage down.
So this took place in his palace.
Exactly.
Tell me more about it.
It's called Casa Presidencial, and we were at his office for his interview. And there were like all these photos that he took with other presidents, as well as the flags and all the, I'm pretty sure, gifts from other world leaders.
Did you get to see President Lee Myung-bak's photo as well?
Right. Actually, President Lee Myung-bak and President Lobo of Honduras, they maintained a very close relationship, especially because we celebrate the 50th year of diplomatic relation with Honduras. And what really hit me the most was that he started off his speech by saying that when we started the relations, we were at the same level. And he was very stunned that Korea has developed this much over the past decades, and it's giving the country hope that Honduras can achieve the same level that we did. So, and along with other lines that he threw me, it was
You
really
must have been very proud of Korea as a Korean.
I mean, I was also, very interestingly watched your K-pop package on Honduran fans. So I was wondering whether the president himself know much about K-pop, and also about how did you find the house and the fan? How did you find her?
Well, we actually got a lot of cooperation from the Televisión Nacional de Honduras, the national state-run television of the country, and they were actually airing our program, the Simply K-pop, Showbiz Korea, and there are a lot of fans who are crazy about Korean culture, and they actually have a group of bloggers they called Hallyu Honduras, and they actually conduct they would create their own radios and TV programs inspired by Hallyu. So I was really impressed to know they sing and dance along way better than we do.
La experiencia de estar en nuestro país. Bueno, esta es parte de nuestra jornada de cubrir la
De hecho, viene la primera persona que...
Let's Learn Korean en inglés, y esto es un programa de...
Estamos de aquí al aire.
Entonces pone...
La gente es muy amable, agradable, y me encanta como el cerro de las casas. Vamos a dejar a Carlita, ¿no? Aquí es como...
How about Gangnam Style? Do they know the dance and Psy?
I've been watching the TV at the hotel almost 24/7 when I was there, and I heard it at least 3 times over 6 hours.
That's impressive. You know, the popularity of Gangnam Style is... Yeah,
It's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. It's just, sometimes it's really hard to believe that Gangnam Style is YouTube history's most watched video and most liked video
Of all
out of
time.
all that. I mean, it's just amazing.
Gangnam Style has not only cast the spotlight on Korean rapper and singer Psy, it's also brought a new attention to Gangnam, a commercial district in Seoul. It's become a hotspot for foreigners who want to take a step into the setting of Psy's music video.
This is Gangnam, the district that inspired the song. The popularity of Psy's global hit has turned this area into an up-and-coming tourist destination.
Bernard Hall, who is temporarily staying in Korea for his role in the musical The Phantom of the Opera, even took a picture of him and his wife in front of Gangnam Station.
I mean, Seoul is so happy because Gangnam Style, the word Gangnam, everybody knows what Gangnam is. At least, even though they don't know the meaning of Gangnam, they heard Gangnam. And of course, Gangnam is a name of the district in Seoul, a very rich and trendy area. And so Seoul, there is a tourism organization called Seoul Tourism Organization, and the officials there were so happy, and they're so happy that Psy is helping their efforts to promote the city. So I met this vice president of the Seoul Tourism Organization, especially Convention Bureau, and she does a lot of trade shows abroad to promote the city of Seoul. And actually Seoul is the world's 5 top host cities to bring these international conventions and meetings. And these days, she says she always starts with a song Gangnam Style, and then everybody knows. And she says, "Did you know the Gangnam is a Seoul's district?"
Grabber,
right. So they made this latest PR video on Seoul, which is a parody film of Gangnam Style, and it got just in a week 400,000 hits in just a week. So I did that interview, and I went out Gangnam Station on Tuesday, and I met a lot of foreigners there. And it was so easy interview because, you know, when I just approached and, oh, you know, are you here for Gangnam Style? And they all said, oh, I love the song. Even if they refused the interview, they were so happy, they really liked it. So it wasn't very interesting. 사람들 막 나오는 거랑 강남이랑 저 나오는 거랑 같이. Tourists from where? Russia. From Russia. So you just visit here because of Seven? Yeah. Excuse me, mister. Are you a tourist here?
Yes.
Did you know this is Gangnam, where the
of course. I'm not good with music, but yes, I know that I took pictures of these things on the floor.
Right.
Show it for my wife because she will enjoy it.
Then could you give us an interview, like in front of our camera?
Yes, of course.
Oh, sure, thank you.
Lots of movies like this is good.
Yeah. Really?
Everywhere. Yeah.
Right. Hello, I'm a reporter for Arirang TV. Are you a tourist here?
Yeah.
Oh, we are doing a special report on Gangnam Street. Hello, excuse me. Oh, where are you from?
Hawaii.
From Hawaii. So how did you enjoy the song, Psy song, Gangnam Style?
Oh, I love it. I think it's so catchy.
Lots of other things. So people have obviously jumped on the bandwagon.
1, 2, 3.
That inspired the song. The popularity of Psy's global hit has turned this area. This is Gangnam. This is Gangnam, the street that inspired the song.
I think it's great that not only in Honduras and the streets of Gangnam, there are foreigners who are very interested in getting to know about Korea. Because I think just decades back when I was studying abroad, if people ask me where I'm from, if I say Korea, they will ask you straight up and down, North Korea or South Korea. You know, these, how that somehow changes with in the course of time. I think it's quite amazing. Hopefully we can have more of these sensational cultural product that could, spread the word about Korea and the positive image about Korea. That'd be wonderful. Well, that really brings us to the end of the segment, but everyone, thank you very much for sharing your candid accounts on the stories you guys have been covering throughout this week. Greatly appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.
All
All
right.
See ya. See ya.
About a month ago, Arirang TV has rolled out a brand new program called After 10. It's a weekly talk show hosted by our very own Scott Thompson, where he sits down with specialists from a variety of fields to talk about major issues of the Korean Peninsula. Well, I sat down with Scott and we talked about his program and his guests on the show. Let's go and meet him. All right, Scott.
Hello.
Great to see you.
Good to see you
I
too.
I see you every day in the newsroom.
Yeah, have a seat.
Feels great. It feels kind of surreal that I'm seeing you right here in the studio.
That should feel normal to you. You do your 8 o'clock news here, right?
I know.
Yeah, same set.
What's great, it's been almost, what, just over a month since your debut and the start of a brand new show.
Yeah, about a month and a half or so, yeah. Beginning of November, yeah.
How are you finding it so far?
Exciting, and you know, we have very interesting people coming in and week out, so it's always a fun thing to find out who that next guest is going to be, so we can kind of prepare for that and get everything together. So yeah, it's been fun.
And for our viewers who are not familiar with your brand new show, do give us some details about your program.
Sure, yeah, it's called After 10. It airs after the 10 o'clock news on Friday nights here on Arirang TV. Basically, it's sort of an extension of the 10 o'clock news in a way. We're trying to talk to people who are related to the stories that you're talking about on the newscast, but basically going a bit more in depth on some of the issues of the day. For instance, the first month and a half, we've really been focusing a lot, of course, on the presidential election, which you have been as well, of course.
We've seen some significant figures, like those who are very influential. Any special guests that you find it most memorable?
I think for me, the most memorable is always sort of the first one, which was Kim Yeon-ji from the co-chair of Park Geun-hye's campaign. She's a very powerful and very interesting and very dynamic figure, and that was the first show. So that was a very memorable experience, of course. But they've all been memorable to a degree because they all have been interesting topics. You know, we're talking about the candidates for the first few shows. We've talked about China-Korea relations, Japan-Korea relations, U.S.-Korea relations, all very interesting topics. So they're all memorable. You know, I hate to name names specifically and single anybody out, but yeah, I'd say the first one was probably the most memorable for me, at least, because you know it's the first one, which is a big thing. Yeah.
I see. So anyone that you have in mind that you would like to have in your show?
Oh, sure. There's a long list of that. President Barack Obama would be all right. I don't think he's going to be stopping by anytime soon. President Lee Myung-bak would be a great guest, I think, especially after he leaves office to kind of reflect on his time as president. Ahn Cho-soo, obviously a very interesting figure and one that shook up this race, so I'd like to talk to him as well. There's a long list. I'm not sure who might be coming down the pike, but yeah. Look forward to those.
I'm on the list.
Of course, yeah. We'll try and get you on next week. I think there's an opening next week.
Oh, really?
So we'll try. Yeah, I think we'll try and get you on. Yeah. We'll have our people talk to your people.
All right, Scott. It was great talking to you, and I wish you the best of luck with your new show.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
Excuse me? 너무 바빠.
La gente es muy amable y me encanta como
what the gigs so far with the